And what's happened, Jack?
I'll say, you know, in typical fashion, things will break when you don't have good comms. So we are about 1.5 kilometres north of where you can get 4G phone signal, and my sat phone's broken. So I'm loaded up with some stock panels and I'm just leaving Clare Downs. These stock panels are going to be for over at Windidda. Last year I gave one of my mates a bit of a hand in putting together, providing some information for a grant application, and that was through NIAA. Really nice to be able to help your mates and your neighbours lift the standard of their equipment, because it's beautiful country over there. So on this first truck run of many that I've got to do, I'm bringing up the new panels. Yesterday I drove down from Perth, or north of Perth, loaded them up at Whitnall's Panels, which is towards Gingin. Jamie and the team there were really helpful. And yeah, I got back down here to the farm last night, and it was a good opportunity to catch up with my brother Tom and George this morning before I rolled out. And it's pretty nice to be able to get back down here and just have a look around and see how things are going. Well, it's not going to be a bad day because I haven't had to load the panels.
Well, Jack?
Yeah, the GoPro's up there and fully charged.
What time is it?
Oh, it's about 2:30.
No. It is 3:45 in the morning, mate.
Oh, so you've had a nice drive, and
Yes.
I've had a good sleep.
And what's happened, Jack?
My sat phone's broken. And so is the fan drive belt
Yeah.
and the alternator belt
Yeah.
in the truck here. So
Right.
if I'd kept driving, I would have cooked the motor.
And what did Ant have to do?
He's gone for a nice little drive in Bruiser. It looks like the door worked for him.
It did.
Now the real question is, did he put any beer in the angle?
No, mate. I didn't.
He's forgotten beer again.
Radio. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and let's go and ask Jack what's going on. Hey Jack! What are we doing?
Well, we're going to go do a truck recovery, but I'm going to find out why my lights aren't working first.
Yeah.
So I'm following Jack here. He's driving Rommel, but I'm sitting about 6 kilometres back, which keeps me in radio contact with him by the CB. But the reason I'm so far back is this morning it's dead still, and the dust here is so fine that when you've got an 18-wheeler in front of you, the dust just sits in the air. So I'm just hanging back, so I've still got effective radio communications, but I'm not drinking all this dust. You can see that dust ahead there, so that's what I'm trying to stay behind. It almost forms a cloud there. If you look out here, it's just no movement. See, it just sits there.
A communications protocol for travel to the station is that a message is sent from Laverton to the people at the station, so that in 3 or 4 hours they should be expecting them to arrive. If they haven't, the search party will be sent out. So what we've got down here is a mud map For a complicated situation, it's better to have a good perception of the scene from over the top. So we'll move in and identify what vehicles we have where, so it's easy for you to follow along. What we've got in front of me at the moment is where we are standing. We've got the light vehicle bruiser, we've got the white Mack, the container trailer, and the dolly. What we mobilised this morning from Prenti was the American Army truck Rommel and the green drop deck. What was mobilised from Esperance, my brother Tom is driving up 890 k's, the F16 Volvo with a float. So the objectives for today are to get this shipping container full of cattle yard equipment up 165 k's to Prenti, so it's ready for the Windidda job. And to get this broken truck the 890 kilometres down to Esperance to get repaired. Now, to get all these moving parts where they need to go, we can use our mud map and our models to get our best configuration, so we do it once and we do it right. So we're going to move into where we are, just covering off. We've got the broken truck, the shipping container, and the dolly. We've got Rommel and the drop deck. And we've got mobilised from Esperance, Tom with the Volvo and the float. On our track here, coming up from the Great Central Highway, we've got a gravel pit, which is a good area to move around and to operate in. That's 10 kilometres from where we are at the moment. Roughly 1.5 kilometres to our north, we've got a truck turnaround area where we've parked Rommel. We can use that to turn all of this equipment around and get it heading back down to the south, instead of trying to turn around in a road reserve. So let's play with our models, do the final configuration, and then we'll push them around like the Tonka trucks they are and get the job done. So we've got 3 trucks, 3 trailers, 1 dolly, and only 2 ways to get them out of here. So we've got our config. See how we tackle this on a shallow outback road with a lot of moving parts. Let's make sure that we shuffle the cards right and get a few aces. So the question is, Ant, how are we going to actually achieve this?
I'm glad you asked me that question, Jack. I have absolutely no idea.
So if we start pushing?
In fact, I wouldn't have even attempted it. But now that we're here, we better do something. Okay, come on. How are we going to fix it, Jack?
So we're going to break this down into 2 phases. Getting the broken truck down to Esperance and getting the cattle yards up to Prenti. So let's look at the mechanics of how we're going to achieve this. The solution I've come up with is a little bit complicated, but it should involve the least amount of movement. We're going to use the turnaround area that's 1.5 kilometres to our north as our, effectively, a base. We will take Rommel with the drop deck down towards the south. We can then disconnect it, take Rommel to the broken Mack, disconnect the broken Mack from the shipping container, get the Mack clear, disconnect the dolly. We then get Rommel and drive back down and connect to the drop deck. We move the drop deck in front of the dolly, connect it to the dolly, and then we drive north to our turnaround and have it disconnected facing south. We disconnect Rommel and we have Rommel ready in position to push the Mack onto Tom's float. the Volvo with the Mack on the back can turn around in our turnaround area, disconnect near the trailer assembly, connect onto the trailer, push the dolly under the float, and now that configuration is ready to go to Esperance. Rommel connects onto the shipping container, and we're good to go home.
And Jack, what time is it now?
It is 5 to 10.
Okay. And what time do you think we'll be in that end state?
Hopefully by 1 p.m.
You're a funny man, Jack. How long will this road, that's a road train, right?
The road train, we'll have to step it out to measure it because we've not run this configuration before. But up in this area, road trains can actually be up to 56 metres long, which you don't think is a lot, but then when you're trying to overtake one of them, you notice how long it actually is. The trailers just don't stop coming. So it will look like an interesting load, but I'm sure everyone who's ever been trucking on the Great Central, they're not unfamiliar with seeing trucks on the back of other trucks, because many vehicles do break down on the Great Central because it's such a harsh road.
Gonna pull up near this tree. I reckon it feels like the brakes are dragging just a touch.
Yeah, roger that. Well, here's the first part of the equation. Jack's taken Rommel down to the broken down truck you can see in the distance there. See, it's kicking off a lot of dust.
Right, well here comes Jack bringing Rommel down. Oh well, there we go, gives us a beep. Let's come. Here he is.
So we're in progress here. We're about 3/4 of the way through. And for context, Esperance is that way, and Prenti's up that way. So we've got our drop deck here, and we've got it facing down, ready to go. We disconnected the dolly. We had a little bit of fun. We ended up putting air into it off the other truck, and we spun it around with the Land Cruiser and then hooked it all up. We'll keep on moving up here and have a look at the shipping container.
So how hot do you reckon it's out here at the minute, Jack? What would it be?
I've got the guess, or we can try and use a little bit of science. We are looking at, it's a friendly 38.
A friendly 38.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's cooled off a bit though, hasn't it?
We've got a bit of a breeze coming in.
Yeah.
And what we're a bit strategic here and there with how we didn't want to disconnect that and do the hard cranking on that trailer until we had the shade. So we waited until after midday to get that done. We've gone through 2 litres of Gatorade so far.
Yeah, we've needed every drop.
But that new work shirt of yours is getting a bit dirty.
I know.
A little bit of dust on it.
I was hoping to keep it in pristine condition for as long as possible, Jack, but that didn't happen.
Look, there's no truck.
Right.
So this was the one that we're a little bit nervous about, but it was more to do with getting the truck rolling out of here. So because we are avoiding starting it because it's going to dump all of its water, we had to take a cover off, and under advice from one of my mates, we put airline into the wet tank, which meant that we were clean air throughout the system that we've put into it. So we used, again, the mighty Rommel to put some air into the Mack, and yeah, we managed to get the brakes off, and then we just gently dragged it forwards, and yeah, we're pretty happy with that. This trailer's going up to Prenti, and it's going to be put on behind Rommel. So at the moment, we don't need to touch this at all until we're about to go home. We're keeping Rommel out just in case we need to push the other truck around, or for any other shuffling that we could possibly need to do. So we've got an hour to make a couple of small changes to the environment to make it easier to put the truck on the trailer. So Ant and I are going to wear in our new gloves and dig a couple of holes.
Awesome.
So as you can see, Tom's just arrived and he made a couple of comments. The first one being, don't let the guy that's 800 kilometers away with his arm in a cast decide where you're going to dig a hole. No. And he also said, yes, Ant, it's a good idea to dig in the softer part of the land. So we've moved and
X marks the spot.
yeah, we're chipping away at it. Level of hardness, what would you rate this at?
Ridiculous. Well, from a geological standpoint, and I did study geology, but I can't remember any of it, it'd be considered quite friable.
The word that starts with an F that describes this, wouldn't end with a bull.
Well, it's 6 p.m. in the evening. What time do you think we'll be in that end state?
Hopefully by 1 p.m.
And we finally got the truck from Esperance towing the broken down truck, which is also towing the original trailer and the dolly, I think. No, Jack, you got to do this because I don't know what the f I'm talking about.
So there we go. Full road train assembly going off. The Mack's on its way to go get repaired. It's going to take a couple of weeks, but it took us a little over the time that we thought we would to get it all organised, but she's right and she's ready to go. So looking at the time, and the lights aren't working on Rommel, so we're going to just amble along nice and gently. And we didn't put any beers in the angle because we're a little bit optimistic, but it looks like Ant's got himself some bar snacks. I believe this variety is called Happy Hour.
It is Happy Hour. It's a happy hour that's not that happy really, because we've got the snacks, but we don't have we've got the snacks, but we don't have the beer, which is disappointing. But it's only, well, what is it, Jack? It's only 165 kilometres to the beer.